So, we have looked at an ATR-72, we have looked at an A319, and today we will look at the largest Airbus aircraft in this Azerbaijan Airlines box set. With that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where we today will take a closer look at an Airbus A320-200 of Azerbaijan Airlines, which is part of this Azerbaijan Airlines box set of 5 aircraft models. This is the third aircraft we are looking at, and we will continue looking at these throughout the next weeks. At the front of the box we have a lovely image of the aircraft model, and underneath that we find the Azerbaijan Airlines branding. We can also open the front, and that reveals us this cutout, so we can get a glimpse of the aircraft models inside. On the back side of the box we then have a listing of various key moments in aviation history for Azerbaijan. That includes some rather creative spelling. And here she is, the Airbus A320-200 in the former standard livery of Azerbaijan Airlines. The A320 is also the largest Airbus aircraft that we find in this set. The aircraft type was introduced with the airline in 2004. The box set in which this model is included from Hogan was produced in 2011. Now with that, let's take a closer look at the aircraft model itself to see what it actually has to offer. And as always, we start off with a look at the tail section, where we on the vertical stabilizer have the Azerbaijan Airlines or Azal branding. On the fuselage we then have 3 letters which indicated the origin of the airline, and we have the aircraft type specification, but unfortunately no registration code on this aircraft model, something that is the case for all models in this box set. Towards the very tail of the aircraft we then have a little bit of detailing around the APU exhaust, and when we move towards the front of the aircraft we can see across the fuselage just above the blue cheat line we have the writing of Azerbaijan, and we find the Azerbaijani flag. I very much like the shape of the cockpit section. I think the mold here is really good, but when it comes to printed details, well, that is rather scarce. Other than the details from the livery itself, we are given the cockpit windows, and that's about it. That is a bit disappointing. On the engine itself, we find the blue cheat line continued from the fuselage, and we have the silver leading edge printed on, but that's all when it comes to printed details here. Also here we could have seen a little bit more, although it is not unusual for the time this model was released. The physical detailing itself isn't too bad, but also here it doesn't quite compete with the level of detailing we would get today. On the fuselage, just above the wings, we find the emergency exits have been printed on, which leads us straight to the wings, which we should definitely also take a closer look at, starting off with the top side, where we can see the different flaps, slats and spoilers have been carved out very nicely, and we have some different shades of grey for additional detailing. The underside, rather unremarkable, at least when it comes to printed details, because there are none, but the physical detailing itself is quite okay. The wings then of course also have the classical wingtip fences of the Airbus A320, which I think have been executed okay, but also here in more recent releases that does look better. Given that Hogan is a subsidiary of Herpa, it is not surprising that the landing gear here on this aircraft model is the standard landing gear that Herpa used at the time this aircraft model was released. And that is definitely a good thing, because it looks far superior to anything that Herpa offers us today. And then last but not least, we do also have the doors to the cargo compartments printed on here at the back of the aircraft and here at the front of the aircraft. So there we have it, the Airbus A320-200 in the former standard livery of Azerbaijan Airlines in scale 1:500 from Hogan/Herpa wings. And what can we say about this aircraft model? All in all, I'm actually quite happy with this aircraft model. I very much like the mold of the aircraft, especially the shape around the cockpit section looks much better than anything we get currently from Herpa wings/Hogan. And the same goes for the landing gear, which looks much nicer than the current landing gear. But there are also some drawbacks. We of course don't have a plethora of details, although I would say the amount of detailing we have is not far away from what we would get today. The one thing that really is missing for me, however, is the registration code. It's not catastrophic, but it just adds a little bit more authenticity to an aircraft model when it is included. 2 other points where the model just can't entirely keep up with the standard we have today is with the wings, especially how they have been mounted into the fuselage. That looks much nicer in more recent releases. And of course also the engines, they don't look bad, but the current standard in physical detailing there is just better than what we have here on the model. But still, when I consider all these different factors together, I still think it is a lovely aircraft model, and that's why I would say yes, absolutely, it is worth having in one's collection. Now with that, we have reached the end of today's episode. If you have enjoyed the video, then don't forget to leave a like, that would be very much appreciated. And of course, if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? That would be absolutely awesome. With that, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.